Hey guys, on today's video we are finally going to review the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. Just like the Maybelline Superstay Foundation, it is so hard to match, and I think this is even worse of a shade range versus the Maybelline foundation. I have tried them on my hand and I still feel like they might not match, but fingers crossed that they do. But before we get started, if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Alex and this channel is your guide to makeup for oily skin. So if you guys can relate to that, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you here. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started with this video. Alright guys, so I have two shades right here. This one is in the shade Camel Beige. This one is in the shade Natural Beige. The concealer is the Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer in the shade Desert Beige. So this is a concealer right here. This is supposed to be a waterproof concealer, so that's kind of intriguing, and it's supposed to last up to 12 hours. The foundation is supposed to last up to 24 hours. It's supposed to have a mattifying second skin effect. I stumbled upon a website that said that this was an exact dupe for the Fenty foundation, which I ended up liking. And if this is a dupe for the Fenty foundation, or if it behaves somewhat like the Fenty, then there really isn't any reason to spend, what was it, 30 something dollars on that foundation versus this one that was, I think, $10 or $12. I am first going to do swatches of each shade. This one is the Caramel Beige shade, and I think it does oxidize a little bit. If I remember correctly, when I swatched it on my hand, I feel like it got a little bit darker. And then the second one is the Natural Beige, which I think this has more of like a yellowy undertone. So this is Natural Beige right here. So you see how this one's already oxidizing a tiny bit? This one does have more of like a yellow neutral undertone. I'm going to try the Natural Beige first on my skin and see how that one works alone, because I feel like this one might work a little bit better. And if I still feel like it's too light, then I'll mix in a little bit of this. For primer, I've been really enjoying the ColourPop All-Star Blurring Primer, so I'm going to use some of this on my face before applying the foundation. Just going to show you how the shades are drying down. I honestly think this is going to be my shade right here. This is the Natural Beige, because they are getting darker, and as this gets darker, it's just looking more and more pink. So this one looks a little bit more promising. For sure, it would be my color if I didn't have a tan. So we'll make it work with bronzer. The brush that I like using for foundation is this one. This is the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques. And then for a sponge, I'm going to be using the Juno & Co. Pink Sponge. These are so much softer than their blue version. So if you tried the blue one and you thought it was too hard, try the rosé one, because oh my god, it's so bouncy and like it just hugs your face and it's so soft. I love it. I'm going to apply a few drops, and that might be a lot. And then I'm just going to go ahead and blend it out with the brush on this side. I actually don't think this is a bad match. This will be definitely my shade for the winter. Right now I just have this horrible sunglass tan I was telling you guys about. In my last video I showed you guys this horrible tan. I have like, my whole nose is dark, and then like around my face it's light. It's blending out really nicely. It's nice. Yeah, that like difference, I know it looks so light, but I promise we will make it work. This brush right here by Real Techniques, it's their Deluxe Crease Brush. You can use this to spot blend. So just put a little bit of the product on the brush, and then you can use it to go around your eyebrows, between your eyebrows, around the nose. It's just a more targeted brush versus going in with this big one. You sometimes run the risk of getting foundation on your brows, especially if you do your brows first before then. A brush like this really helps you get into those little hard to reach areas around the hairline. It's just a really good brush. All right, I'm gonna do the other side with the sponge. And just in case you're curious, this is a wet sponge. Forget that this is a dropper and I'm just using it like a spatula, but whatever. And then using the sponge. Whoa, you get more full coverage with the sponge. At least this sponge. I don't know if you guys remember seeing my Juno & Co. the blue sponge review. These sponges are meant to give you like full coverage. It's almost acting like a brush. And the foundation is actually blending out real nicely with the sponge as well. Look at how squishy it is. It's like so cute and squishy, and it feels really nice on the skin. I believe it's like $6. It's not expensive at all. And then we can use a pointy side for the forehead just because it's a smaller area. Whose forehead is always darker than the rest of their face? I feel like my forehead, whether I have a tan or not, I feel like my forehead's always like darker. I don't know what it is. But this shade is working really good. I mean, is it the best shade ever? No. But I feel like it's a shade that you can make work. If you guys have tried this foundation and found a perfect shade match and you are close to my skin tone, please let me know what you used, because as of now, I think Natural Beige is like the winner for my shade. Alright, so there is one layer of foundation on. I must say that I like how it applied with either one. I like the sponge, I like the brush, so it's just preference. It blends out really fast, really easily. It's supposed to be long-lasting full coverage without mask effect and creates an even complexion. I don't think it's full coverage because I still feel like you could see that difference between my suntan and the rest of my skin. I do have some pimples around my forehead that I feel like I could still see. I would call it a hard medium coverage. If you do have a lot of things to cover, I wouldn't say that this is gonna cover them all the way. And it does feel like second skin in the sense that I cannot feel it on my skin at all whatsoever. I feel like it's already set, but since I have oily skin, I'm gonna make sure and set it. But before we do that, let's use the concealer. Let's just swatch it for you guys so you guys can see the color right there. It looks darker than the foundation. I'm actually a little scared to use it. That's okay, we'll make it work. Ooh, that is dark. And I'm gonna use the cute little sponge. Actually, this shade's not that bad. Yep, that can work. Okay, this is a concealer that if you don't blend it right away, it's gonna set. Because this side is harder to blend out. So I do recommend just doing one side at a time to avoid that, because I feel like I'm really like smacking the sponge against my skin to blend this out. All right, this also feels lightweight. It doesn't feel too heavy on my skin. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and set the under eyes with the number 7 translucent powder, and I'm gonna use Real Techniques number 402. This is their like setting brush. You guys, these brushes have become like one of my favorite brushes. I'm telling you guys, it comes like in a set, and I think it's like the total face set or something like that. The Everyday Essentials set, I think. I'm gonna link it down below for you guys because it's so inexpensive. I think it's just like 20 bucks for 4 brushes and then the beauty sponge. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop powder. It's in the shade medium, so I feel like it'll kind of balance out my color a little bit. It's not very highly pigmented because sometimes I use it even when I don't need to color change the foundation. And I really love the packaging of this powder. I really wish that more companies did that, where they have the sifter attached to this thing and then you just grab the powder from here and it's not a big mess. So I feel like companies should do that more often. You can also use this brush to target around the nose area. I like this foundation so far. I'm looking at it up close and I feel like it looks like my skin. Like my skin is not glowy or anything by any means because the finish is more of a matte, but it feels like it's like super thin on the face that I feel so comfortable with it. I don't feel like it's caking up in areas like usually sometimes my nose area, my mouth area. I feel like everything looks really good. For bronzer, I'm going to use the Butter Bronzer in the deep bronzer shade. This is one of their darker shades. And I'm going to use the same brush that I was using earlier to set my face. Just put some on my forehead. And then on the perimeter of my face. For blush, I'm using the Burt's Bees blush. This is in the shade Shy Pink. But by me using the same brush, I just wanted to show you guys that you guys don't need to buy a whole bunch of brushes. If you guys have a really good set, that's all you need. For highlight, I'm going to use the Milani Strobe Light. This is in the shade Day Glow. And I'm going to use the Morphe, what is this? The Morphe M500, just like a nice fluffy brush. And then right at the top of the cheeks. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup and then I'll be right back to let you guys know all my thoughts. So you guys saw me put the bronzer, blush, highlighter. Those things went on so beautifully on top of the skin. And I feel like everything looks really, really nice with this foundation. It feels super lightweight. They are not kidding when it says second skin. So far, so good. Not going to test it for 24 hours, but I think at least 8 hours. I am going to test it. It might be even 10 hours. What time is it right now? It is 10:52 right now. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say for right now. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hey guys, so I just wanted to get on here and show you guys how the foundation looks in natural daylight. I'm actually on my iPhone right now. So yeah, this is how the foundation looks. I think it looks so good. The shade looks so good. So if you guys are just here for the shade match, I think the shade has worked so well. I think the only thing I feel on my face right now, like physically feel on my face, is my lip gloss, but not the foundation at all. Just finished applying it, so it's not like a check-in or anything. I just wanted to show you guys how everything looks in natural daylight. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hey guys, so it is 5:56 p.m. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's been roughly between 6 to 7 hours since I first applied my foundation, and I think I like it. I am not completely blown away with it. It looks really good all over the skin, right? I feel like it looks pretty good. The only thing is that my nose has been so oily to the point where I've blotted maybe 2 to 3 times already. And it's just my nose, which is weird. My forehead looks shiny, but I really haven't been touching that up. It's just my nose. And I feel like it already wore off because of how much I've been touching it up. It bunched up around my creases here. Not so much in my smile lines. Everything seems to be laying right except my nose. So I think next time I'm gonna try something more of like a mattifying primer. I know the ColourPop primer that I use is more like it is I think mattifying, but it's more like a blurring primer. So I think if I pair it next time, this foundation with a matte primer, it might work a little bit better. This is just a check-in. Everything looks good other than the nose area. And aside from the bad tan that I had, the foundation just, I think, has been wearing off around here. And again, this is my horrible tan. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is just kind of set the foundation a little bit. Oh, you know what? The primer does say matte. So maybe it's just not strong enough. I don't know. Or maybe it's the product. But I mean, if it was the product, it would be all over. And I feel like it's just my nose that's getting greasy. So I honestly think it might be the powder. I'm going to use the NYX No Filter powder. This is in the color medium olive. And I'm not going to blot the oil away. I'm just going to powder that there. I'll do a little bit on the forehead. All right, so I think it looks pretty good now that I blotted. But yeah, like I said, so far, I blotted 3 times around my nose. I mean, other than that, the rest of my face looks good, that's why I'm like, ugh. I'm not hating it, but I'm not completely loving it. So we'll see. Maybe this is just one of the foundations that I'll have to do like another, I tried it again, kind of like the one that I did with the CC cream, just a different primer. I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I'll let you know my final thoughts in the final check-in. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. It is 7:17, so it's been roughly about 8 hours since I put the foundation on, and here are my final thoughts. You guys saw in the check-in that I was telling you guys that it really didn't want to stay on my nose. It kept bunching around this area, and even right now after I powdered, it just seems a little off on my nose, but everywhere else I feel like the foundation looks really nice. So I honestly think that it might have been just the primer that I used with it. I think next time I use it, I'm going to try and use it with different primers, and I'll let you guys know in the community section or even like on Instagram if I found it to be a little bit better depending on like the primer that I use. But as far as the foundation looking all over the face, I feel like it looks okay. The concealer I wasn't really impressed with. I feel like it's almost gone. Like I feel like it's creased a lot around here and it doesn't look bright anymore. I wouldn't really recommend purchasing it. I wasn't really impressed with it. It says it lasts 12 hours and it's supposed to be waterproof, but it did crease a little bit faster than my usual loved concealer. So I hope this review helped you guys a little bit into knowing what this foundation is like. I by no means even think it is like the Fenty foundation. I don't hate it. I'm actually eager to use it in a different way with maybe a different primer and maybe not powdering as much. So it might be like user error, but for now, I'll give it maybe from 1 out of 10, I'll give it like a 7. So it's not completely bad. For those of you guys that use me as a shade reference, I hope that it helped you guys out in choosing a shade for you guys as well. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Thank you for watching, and if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe before leaving, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.